In this video, I'm going to show you how to import sound into Flash and how to work with sound in Flash. And so let's actually start by importing something. So I'm going to go to File, Import, Import to StageWorks. And I have a short little clip of audio here. It's a WAV file. Flash can also support MP3 and AIFF format as well, but WAV works. So now we've imported the file, but it kind of looks like nothing has happened. But rest assured, something has happened. If we go to the library, you can actually see the file here. If we click on it, you can actually play it.
And right next to me was the cutest girl in like all of Jersey.
All right, so that's a little bit of audio from a friend of mine named Paul Wagner, a brilliant comedian, and I work with him from time to time, and he's supplied me some audio for maybe a future project. We'll see. But for now, I want to bring it into Flash. This is going to be a project that's going to go to video, and I want to show you how to work with audio for exporting to video format. So now I'm in the Properties panel. I have a layer here by default, ready and set to go. I'm going to click on Frame 1. Okay, so that Frame 1 is selected in the timeline. Going over to the Properties panel, I'm going to go to the Sound drop-down here, and if it's not already expanded, just click the little triangle next to the word Sound, and under the name drop-down, you will be able to find the file that you imported. In fact, if you imported several audio files, you'll find all those listed here, and I'm going to select it. Now, by default, there's no effect applied. That's fine. I'll get to that in a minute. Sync is set to event by default. And what event is, basically when the playhead passes a frame that has an event sound, it pretty much just sends it to the system's audio card and plays it. And you have very little control over it after that. What we want is start and stop, but we don't need to pay attention to those for this example here. What we want is stream. Set the audio to stream. What that does is it embeds the audio into the actual timeline, into each and every frame. And that forces the audio to remain in sync with the timeline, and as a result, whatever animation you happen to have going on later. So what I need to do now is actually insert enough frames to support the audio file here, or the length of it anyway. So I'm just going to go down the timeline here and insert a bunch of frames. So now you can actually see the waveform. If you want to see a little bit more of the waveform, I'm going to right-click over this layer. I'm going to select Properties, and then under Layer Height, I'm going to change this to 300 and click OK. So it just allows you to see the waveform just a little bit more. So now we can actually not only play the timeline,
and right next to me was the cutest girl in like all of Jersey.
Okay, we can hear, obviously, the audio playing, but we can also scrub the timeline, meaning grabbing the playhead and just moving it back and forth along the timeline.
And right next to me was the cutest girl in like all.
And this is really useful for when you're lip syncing and you want to listen to every consonant and vowel and try to figure out exactly what mouth shape will correspond to that particular sound. So now if we click in this layer, again, go back to Properties, you'll see under Effect, you have a drop-down menu that gives you a couple of pre-canned effects to choose from. You can have this audio fade in from left to right and fade in and fade out in general, or you can apply some sort of custom effect to it. So I'm going to actually click this pencil icon to open up the Edit Envelope dialog panel, and this gives you some opportunity to actually edit your sound. Although I advise that if you're going to do any real editing to the audio file itself, to choose a real dedicated audio editor like Adobe Audition or some other, whatever you prefer to use for audio editing, and then re-import the audio back into Flash. But for the sake of just working with some simple editing tools in Flash, the Edit Envelope works pretty well. You can even decide when the file will start. You can kind of clip off some of this dead space here at the beginning of the file. If you wanted to do some fading in, you can actually click in here and add some handles and then play around with these. This will control the volume of the actual audio. So if you wanted to fade it in a little bit at the very beginning, we can do something like this.
And right next to me was the...
If we wanted to fade it in more just to see the actual effect, I'm going to zoom out a little bit within the window by clicking this minus button here.
And right next to me was the cutest...
Let's do it even more. Oh, I created an additional extra set of handles here I don't want. And this is good because I'll show you how to get rid of them when that happens, because it's somewhat easy to do. Just actually click on a handle and drag outside the box and they'll go away. So let's just be careful, and I'm going to drag these out a little bit more just to show you sort of an exaggerated fade in.
And right next to me was the cutest girl in like all of Jersey.
So you get the idea. So you can also create additional handles and control how and when the volume of the audio takes place across the actual waveform itself. So it's a nice touch to be able to see the waveform and zoom out a little bit. And let's go to the very end, and maybe we'll just do a little bit of fading out at the very end. Let me zoom in here, the very end here. Perfect. And click OK.
And right next to me was the cutest girl in like all of Jersey. Look, I'm telling you, she's like the cutest on the planet. It was Teresa Del Franco from Exit 18, whom I've had a crush on since, you know, like the day before.
So there you have it. That's the basics of working with audio in Flash. And from here you can create keyframes. From here you can create layers and start adding your animation to the audio that you have in the timeline. And that's about it.